Every major industry has gone through some tremendous amount of disruption. And if it hasn't gone through some sort of disruption, it's about to go through some disruption. I'm going to give you 3 examples of 3 major industries that I know, that you know, but we need to make sure that we're all aware of, which is first and foremost, the taxi industry. 10 years ago, if I told you every single cab is going to be going out of style and we're going to order our cabs on our iPhones, and it's going to come pick you up in 5 minutes and you're going to know the license plate before they even come to pick you up, nobody would have believed you. That's because we didn't believe that was going to happen. But guess what? That has happened, and that has turned that industry upside down. Now, 15 years ago, if I told you Blockbusters are going to go out of business, every single one of those locations where they have hundreds of videos stocked in an aisle, you would probably never believe me. But guess what? Netflix came around. They started shipping those DVDs to those houses, and then you would ship them back in those white envelopes. And then eventually they started streaming, and it's completely online, and there's no physical local footprint for Netflix. And finally, if I were to tell you that the Hiltons and the Sheratons of the world is now going to be competing with an online business like Airbnb, nobody would have believed you. And that's because Airbnb did take over, and they have more properties today than every one of those hotel chains put together. One last industry I want to talk about is how we consume media and how we search for things. Newspapers, they went through one of the biggest transformations ever because of online media. People consume their content, they consume their news on their phones or on their mobile devices or on their desktops, not wait for the newspaper to come in the morning. Or how we search for things. That's another thing. We don't use yellow pages anymore. Yellow pages used to be this thick, then they become half the size, now they're non-existent. That's because that's another industry that's going through huge amounts of disruption. My question to you is, how are you adapting with these changes in media landscape, changes in how people buy, changes in how people shop and search for things? And if you're not really utilizing the latest trends in how people like to be shopped and how people like to be buying things and how people search for things, how people really want to be interacted with, then you're going to be missing out big time, because they're not going to be using the same channels that you're familiar with advertising. They don't use traditional media in order to consume content. They use digital media. They use digital videos. They don't watch just one screen, which is a television. They use 6 screens. They got television, they got laptops, they got iPads, iPhones, and desktops and laptops and everything else. They're using 5 screens instead of 1 screen in the house, which was just a 1 television set. All I'm saying is you've got to change your marketing strategy. You have to change the way you reach your buyers, and you have to change the way you invest into the next generation of marketing, because it is not going to be the same way that we did 5 years ago or 10 years ago.